Our goals are to illustrate situations that involve the following variations: A direct, B inverse, C joint, and D combined. Next is to translate into variation statement a relationship between two quantities given by a table of values, a mathematical equation, a graph, and vice versa. And next is to solve problems involving variation. So let us discuss direct variation first. Direct variation is a type of relationship between two variables which are directly proportional to each other. Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-increase yung isang variable, mag-i-increase din yung isang variable. At kapag nag-decrease naman yung isang variable, automatic, magdi-decrease din yung isang variable. A common example para sa type of variation na ito ay ang distance traveled ng isang jeep. I-assign natin dito ang variable y. At ang pamasahe o fare, i-assign naman natin dito ang variable x. Kapag sa malapit lang, mas mura ang pamasahe. At habang lumalayo, mas tumataas ang pamasahe. Nag-i-increase ang distansya ng biyahe, nag-i-increase din ang pamasahe. This means the value of y varies directly with the value of x. If there exists a non-zero k such that y is equal to kx, sa equation, parehong nasa numerator ang y at x sa kaliwa at kanan ng equal sign. Or, equivalently, y over x is equal to k. Ayan, equivalent ang dalawang equation na ito ha. Huwag balilito. Tandaan, ang mga terms o statement na varies directly at is directly proportional to, yon ang senyales na direct variation ang problem natin. The constant k is called the constant of variation. Tandaan, sa variation, importante ang value ng k. Kasi hindi ito nagbabago kahit na ang values ng x at y ay paiba-iba. Dumako naman tayo sa mga representations or models ng direct variation. Kapag nasa table of values, mapapansin nyo na as the value of x increases, the value of y also increases. Pataas ang x at y, di ba? Dito naman sa graph, the graph is a line that rises to the right. This is an illustration of a direct variation. Pataas. Habang nag-i-increase ang x, nag-i-increase din ang y. At ganito naman natin, i-represent ang given na table of values at graph sa equation na to. In this case, the constant of variation or k is equal to 2. Let us translate the following into mathematical equations. Number 1, P varies directly as R. So we have P is equal to KR. Number 2, the volume of cylinder V varies directly as its height h. That is capital V is equal to KH. Number 3, the cost of Y varies directly with the number of X kilos purchased. Ito naman ay Y is equal to KX. Next natin is how to solve problems involving direct variation. Let us have this example. If y varies directly as x and y is equal to 12 when x is equal to 3, find x when y is 24. So to solve for k, write the formula and then substitute the given x and y. Then solve for k. Divide both sides lang sa 3. Kaya naman sa kanan, we have k na lang ang naiwan. At sa kaliwa naman, we have 12 divided by 3. So, that is equal to 4. Therefore, k is equal to 4. Now that we already know the value of k, isolve na natin yung value ng x. So, we have to rewrite the formula with the value of k found. and then substitute the given y, solve for x. So, anong ginawa natin? Dinivide natin both sides sa 4. Kaya naman dito, x na lang ang natira, and then 24 divided by 4, that is equal to 6. Therefore, x is equal to 6. Kaya naman, x is equal to 6 when y is 24. And that is direct variation. Inverse variation. Inverse variation is a relationship between two quantities that are indirectly, or yung mas kilala nating tawagin na inversely proportional to each other. Tandaan ha, inversely at indirectly, iisa lang yon. Pareho lang yon sa variation. So, what do we mean by inversely proportional quantities? This means that if one quantity increases, the other will decrease at a constant rate. Magkasalungat, isang pababa at isang pataas. Halimbawa, sa paglilinis ng bahay. Kapag konti o isa lang ang naglilinis ng bahay, mahaba ang oras na gugugulin bago matapos ang isang gawain. Pero kapag marami ang nagtutulong-tulong, mas maikli ang oras na gugugulin para matapos yung gawain na yon. Maaari mong malaman na isang inverse variation ang tinutukoy ng isang problem base sa statements na y varies inversely as x or y is inversely proportional to x. Translating this into a mathematical equation, we have y is equal to kx, where k is the constant of variation. Tandaan, sa variation, importante ang value ng k. Kasi ito ang value na hindi nagbabago, constant, hindi siya nagbabago kahit na paiba-iba ang values ng ating x at y. Ayan. So, kung sa equation, sa kaliwa, nasa numerator ang y at sa kanan naman, nasa denominator ang x. Dumako naman tayo sa mga representations or models ng inverse variation. Kapag nasa table of values, mapapansin nyo na as the value of x increases, the value of y decreases. Pababa yung y habang pataas yung x. Dito naman sa graph, mapapansin that it falls to the right. This is an illustration of an inverse variation. Magkasalungat ang x at y. Pababa ang direksyon. At ganito naman natin i-represent ang given na table of values at graph in terms of equation. In this case, the constant of variation is 2. Now, let us translate the following into mathematical equations. Number 1, b varies inversely as c, that is b is equal to k over c. Number 2, the length of a rectangular lot L is inversely proportional to its width W, that is L is equal to k over W. And the average speed is for a car to reach a certain location varies inversely as the length of time t spent, that is S is equal to k over t. Next natin is how to solve problems involving inverse variation. Let us have this example. If y varies inversely as x and y is equal to 10 when x is equal to 2, find y when x is equal to 10. So, ito yung mga given natin. Lagi niyo tatandaan kapag variation, may isang set dyan na kumpleto ang values ng variables. Ito ang gagamitin natin upang mahanap ang value ng k. Tapos, dito sa phrase na ito, find y then given yung value ng x. Again, di mo ito agad masusolve, kaya dapat alamin muna natin yung value ng k. So, to solve for k, write the formula, substitute the given x and y galing dito, and then solve for k. Ang gagawin natin dito is, sa line na to, we can multiply both sides to 2 para ma-cancel yung denominator. Pwede rin naman, para mas madali, i-cross multiply mo. So, we have 2 times 10 dito sa next line natin sa kaliwa. And then, sa kanan naman, ang naiwan na lang as k. Therefore, k is equal to 20. Now that we already know the value of k, isolve na natin yung value ng y. So, we have to rewrite the formula, ito, with the value of k found. And then, substitute natin yung x galing dito sa phrase na to. And then, solve for y. That is 20 divided by 10. Therefore, y is equal to 2. Kaya naman, as a conclusion, y is equal to 2 when x is 10. And that is inverse variation. Joint variation. Joint variation is when a variable varies directly with two or more other variables. In other words, it's just a direct proportion with multiple variables. Ano ba itong joint variation na ito? So, if a quantity varies directly as the product of two or more variables, then it is a joint variation. Again, para lang itong direct variation, pero ang involved na variables ay higit sa dalawa. Here, y varies directly with both x and z. Sa kaliwa ng equal sign, nasa numerator ang y. At sa kanan naman ng equal sign, nasa numerator din ang x at z. At ang k ay ang ating constant proportion. At ang k naman natin ay ang tinatawag nating constant of proportionality. Tandaan, sa variation, importante ang value ng k kasi ito ang value na hindi nagbabago kahit na ang values ng x, y, at z ay paiba-iba. Ang representation ng joint variation in terms of tables, graphs, at equation ay pareho lang din sa direct variation. Since ang joint variation ay isang direct variation din naman. Ang kaibahan lang sa joint variation may involved na higit pa sa dalawang variable. Let us translate the following into mathematical equations. Let us have number 1, P varies jointly as Q and the square of R. So that is P is equal to K Q R squared. May square lang yung R, pero kung mapapansin, sa kaliwa ng equal sign, nasa numerator pa din yung P natin, at sa kanan naman ng equal sign, nasa numerator pa din yung Q at R squared. Number 2, the volume of cylinder varies jointly as its height h and the square of the radius r. So that is capital V is equal to K H R. Number 3, the heat H produced by an electric lamp varied jointly as the resistance R and the square of the current I. So we have capital H is equal to K, capital R, I squared. Tandaan ha, lagi nyo papansinin kung ano yung variable na ginamit. Kung ito ba ay naka-uppercase or lowercase letters. Next natin is how to solve problems involving joint variation. In solving problems under this type of variation, you just have to think that it is just the same as direct variation. Kailangan mo lang mag-multiply ng dalawa o higit pang variables. Okay? So let us examine the given problem. If y varies jointly as x and z, and y is equal to 12 when x is equal to 9 and z is equal to 3, find z when y is 6 and x is 15. So, ito yung mga given natin. Lagi nyo tatandaan, kapag may variation, mayroong isang set dyan na kumpleto ang values ng variables. At ito ang gagamitin natin para mahanap ang k. Tapos, dito sa statement natin na ito, find z and then given yung y at yung x. So, hindi mo to agad masusolve. Kailangan isolve muna natin yung value ng k. So, to solve for k, we have to write the formula first and then substitute the given x, y, and z. Simplify. That is 9 times 3 equals 27 times k. And then copy lang yung 12. Solve for k. That is dividing both sides by 27. So, mula sa linyang to, na-cancel natin yung 27, naging k na lang. And then dito sa left side, we have 12 divided by 27. So, dito sa part na to, we have 12 over 27, a proper fraction. Kung ayaw ninyong mag-divide, pwede rin naman na i-lowest term na lang natin dito. Kaya, pag ni-lowest term, ang sagot is 4 over 9 is equal to k. Again, may option ka na gawin itong decimal form. But in this example, ni-retain na lang natin siya as fraction. Now that we already know the value of k, isolve na natin yung value ng z. So we have to rewrite the formula with the value of k found. Ayan, again, pwede yan in decimal form. Pero in this example, pinakita lang para alam niyo yung gagawin kung fraction form. Substitute the given x and y. So we have x na 15 and y na 6. And then simplify. We have 4 times 15 times z, that is 60 over z, all over, divide mo lang yung 9, copy lang. And then copy lang yung 6. And then solve for z. Para mawala yung denominator 9 natin dito, pwede natin i-cross multiply dito sa 6. So we have 6 times 9, that is 54. Kaya naman ang naiwan dito sa ating kanan ng equal sign is 60z na lang. And then, to solve for z, divide lang natin both sides sa 60. Okay? So, 54 divided by 60 is equal to 60z divided by 60. Again, may option ka pa din na gawin itong decimal form sa 54 divided by 60. Pero in this example, in-express lang natin in lowest term yung 54 over 60. Kaya naman, we have z is equal to 9 over 10. Therefore, z is 9 over 10 when y and x are 6 and 15 respectively. So, si z daw ay 9 over 10 kung ang y ay 6 at ang x ay 15. And that is joint variation. Combined variation. It is a type of variation na kung saan combination ito ng direct, inverse, and joint variations. It describes a situation where a variable depends on two or more other variables and varies directly with some and varies inversely with others. So dito, we will encounter more than two variables na kung saan ang isang variable ay dependent directly sa isa at inversely naman sa iba. So, combination. It is modeled by an equation of the form y is equal to kx all over z, where k is a non-zero constant. The number k, again, is called the variation constant or the constant of proportionality. So to denote a problem involving combined variation, we say y varies directly as x and inversely as z. So yung directly nasa numerator, yung inversely naman nasa denominator. Let us translate the following into mathematical equations. Number 1, A varies directly as B and inversely as C. So we have A is equal to KB all over C. Number 2, X varies directly as Y and inversely as Z. So we have X is equal to KY all over Z. 3, J varies directly as L and inversely as M. So we have J is equal to KL all over M. So how do we solve problems involving combined variations? Let us have this example. The number of our H that it takes P persons to assemble M machines varies directly as the number of machines and inversely as the number of persons. 3 persons can assemble 10 machines in 5 hours. How many persons would it take to assemble 36 machines in 8 hours? So, ito yung mga given natin. Lagi niyo tatandaan kapag variation, may isang set dyan na kumpleto ang values ng variables. At yon ang gagamitin natin to find the value of k. So, para mas mabilis tayo, may naka-assign na variables dito. H para sa hours, P para sa persons, at M naman para sa machines. So, dito sa unang sentence natin, ito yung gagamitin natin to solve for k. So, we have P which is equal to 3, M which is equal to 10, at H naman which is equal to 5. And then, dito sa ating last sentence, ito naman yung isosolve natin. So, we have M which is equal to 36, H which is equal to 8, at nawawala naman yung ating P. So, to solve for K, we have to write the formula first and then substitute the given H, M, and P, and then solve for K. So, kaya nawala yung ating denominator dito sa kanan ng equal sign is that we have applied cross multiplication. Kaya naman we have 5 times 3, that is 15. At sa kanan naman, we have 10k na lang. Then, to solve for k, divide lang natin both sides sa 10. That is 15 divided by 10. We have 1.5. 10k divided by 10. Naiwan na lang is k. Therefore, ang value ng ating k is 1.5. Now that we already know the value of k, isolve na natin yung value ng p. So, we have to rewrite the formula with the value of k found and then substitute the given h and m. Okay? So, on this part, pwedeng diretsong multiply na lang. Pero dito sa next part, kung mapapansin nyo, nawala yung denominator na p. So, anong ginawa natin dito? We applied cross multiplication. So, we have p times 8. 8p is equal to, sinulat lang ulit si 1.5 times 36 bago i-simplify. So, we have 1.5 times 36. That is equal to 54. Kopya lang si 8p. At this point, we have to solve for p. So, anong gagawin natin? Divide both sides by 8. So, we have 8p divided by 8, p na lang. And then 54 divided by 8, that is 6.75. So, dahil P ang pinag-uusapan natin dito. Ano ba yung P? Person. Okay? Wala namang person na 0.75. Kaya, i-round off natin ito to the nearest whole number. So, that is equal to 7. Kaya naman, kailangan ang 7 persons or 7 tao para ma-assemble ang 36 machines sa loob ng 8 oras. And that is combined variation. And that is our lesson for this week. See you again next time. Ingat and God bless.